Hi, I'm Adrian Fabris with the Geological Survey of South Australia. Our department are major participants within the Mineral Exploration CRC, or MinEx CRC. So today we've invited a couple of key researchers that work on mineral systems related research along just for a bit of a chat. So just going to try to find out, just get a flavour for some of the key activities that are being worked on that have implications for exploration in South Australia. I'm joined by Otto, Principal Geologist with CSIRO. He also is the project coordinator for Project 9, a project that is looking to better ways of targeting mineral systems undercover. I'm also joined by Wei Hong, and Wei Hong is an embedded researcher with the Geological Survey of South Australia and a key researcher within MinEx CRC. So I'll start with a pretty broad question for you, Alex. Just interested to hear some of the a summary of some of the research that you're involved with within MinEx.
Yeah, thank you for having me. There are a number, including mineral systems modeling, as well as more focused projects on more specific deposit styles. And these are initially focusing on understanding areas of known mineralization, and we will then apply those insights gained from this work to areas undercover. And with regards to the mineral systems modeling, our researchers in Project 9 are focusing on gaining a better understanding of the data that goes into those models, rather than using a black box approach. We do like to understand how the data that is available represents the geological processes that lead to mineralization. So, and one aspect of this has been a spin-off project, which is looking to map granites and similar rock types under an increasing depth of cover using potential field data such as magnetics and gravity. And this work is aiming at the ability to compare outcropping parts of the Delamerian with covered portion.
Can you give us an idea of what mineral explorers are going to get out of the activities that are going on currently in MinEx CRC, and specifically related to mineral systems that you're involved with?
So our MinEx CRC research aims to provide new insights and new solutions for exploring in covered terrains, such as the Delamerian Andy area in South Australia. Some of the challenges we are faced with include only few drill hole samples are available and a limited understanding of the geology. So in particular, we are studying which type of data contains the most valuable information for prospectivity analysis. Because then with an outcome of this is that we aim to provide advice on sampling strategies and what mineral systems may be present under the cover. So ultimately, this information will provide the mineral industry with more certainty and more focus on where to go and what to sample for. One advantage of mineral systems modeling is that we are not trying to find anomalies. What we're trying to find is the processes of mineralization, which leads to mineralization. And these processes can operating over vast different scales spatially. So we're looking at events happening many hundreds of kilometers horizontal distance. We're talking about events that can happen at great depths down to the mantle crust boundary, or events that happens over a few meters, but also spatially. So things that happening many millions of years before the actual mineralization event can have an influence on that. So by assembling the mineral systems model allows us to incorporate all these different all these processes into one model, and where they coincide, that's where the likelihood of mineralization is very high. And the second advantage I see of a mineral systems approach is we are looking at causative relationships of the data. We're looking what are the reasons why the data we collect gives us that answer, as opposed to a black box approach where you only get correlations, whether that makes any geological sense or not. And that's the great advantage of mineral systems modeling.
And then in relation to the Delamerian, are there any specific commodities or deposit styles that you're particularly interested in?
So in generally, we're trying to have a more holistic approach. So trying to understand key ingredients of a mineral system, but also we're focusing on a specific mineral system. In this case, it's a porphyry copper potential in the Delamerian. And in this specific case study, we're looking at the timing and the fertility of porphyry prospects within the Delamerian, involving mineral chemistry. And so some of the minerals that are investigated includes epitode, apatite, zircon. And what we're looking at is the chemistry of those minerals.
So maybe at this point, I'll bring Wei Hong in, your embedded researcher within the GSSA. Now, Alex was just talking about porphyry potential and mineral chemistry, and I know that's something that you're working on. Can you provide us a little bit more detail on some of that mineral chemistry work that you're doing?
Yes. Actually, there are several porphyry prospects in the Delamerian Orogen of the state's east margin, and those prospects including the Alabama Hill, Lateral Hill, Bendigo, and Blue Rose. And those prospects actually were identified in several decades ago, back to the 1970s. But since then, there's no much work have been done related to evaluate the fertility, mineralization fertility in this area. So as embedded research in the Geological Survey of South Australia and key research in the MinEx CRC, currently I'm doing using the mineral chemistry to evaluate the porphyry mineralization potential in this area, using some mineral chemistry such as chloride and epitode. The reason I choose analyze these two minerals because they are very common alteration minerals in the porphyry systems, and they are easy to identify in the field and drill hole. So at first, I do the geological mapping in the old drill holes from the Alabama Hill. And then I use the microscopy and scanning electron microscope and the laser ablation facility in the Adelaide microscopy.
Are these novel techniques, or is this routinely used in exploration for porphyry systems?
Actually, this approach is emerging just in the last decade, which was set up by Professor Dave Cook, the research group in the University of Tasmania.
And you worked with him, didn't you?
Yeah, I earned my PhD in 2017 in Dave Cook's research group. So I have done quite a lot with him and working on similar project in porphyry mineralization system and tin and tungsten mineralization in Tasmania. So actually, this excellent research group has tested this approach in Tasmania and other big porphyry system in South America, in USA, and in Philippines.
Okay. So that means you're going to be able to compare some of the results you get from Alabama and elsewhere in the Delamerian with elsewhere in the world? Is that what you're thinking?
Sure. Actually, the Alabama Hill is a greenfield environment. That means we lack a lot of data in this area, so we needed to produce new geological data, and then we can compare this new mineral chemistry data to those from the excellent mineralized area in USA, South America, and East Asia.
So what have you seen at Anabama Hill, the prospect, to give you an indication that it is a fertile or interesting porphyry system?
Actually, I checked the drill holes from the Alabama Hill, and based on our recent logging, K-feldspar alteration, and epidote chloride alteration, and muscovite coarse pyrite alteration. All these alteration types can be found in other porphyry deposits. So Alabama Hill does share similar characteristics to other mineralized porphyry systems. So and these deposits all has chalcopyrite, pyrite, and molybdenite. So also similar to other porphyry deposits.
And, do you think the broader Delamerian Orogen is prospective for porphyry systems and economic porphyry systems?
So based on my recent study, I just got some preliminary results from the epidote chemistry. Some trace elements in epidote, such as arsenic and antimony, their composition overlap with some results from other porphyry systems in worldwide. So I think at this stage, this prospect, Alabama Hill, does have some mineralized information similar to other systems, but we needed to do more work to collect more data to compare with mineralized systems. So we will try other mineral chemistry such as chloride and apatite. So I think in the next maybe few months or half years, we can produce more data, and we can use this data, and this data would be available for industry exploration companies. So hopefully our work can encourage their exploration in this region and produce more work opportunity in the future.
Wei, that's fantastic. Alex, maybe I'll throw back to you. Wei's just talked about, some of the case study work. How is that going to be applied more broadly within the Delamerian system, and even just to mineral systems understanding in general across Australia?
It helps us to understand what are the processes which may lead to mineralization. We can understand what data carries that information, and more importantly, we'll get an understanding of what type of models have the best potential in the undercover areas of the Delamerian. And this is particularly important in these areas which are covered because we tend to have limited drill holes available. And it's really that understanding which will drive the prospectivity assessment studies.
Right, and lastly, what are the timeframes for delivery on some of these products?
So the outputs will be a series of maps that highlights areas of high prospectivity, and we're expecting that will be released throughout 2021, so next year. And then some further refinement will follow the completion of the Delamerian National Drilling Initiative program next year as well.
All right, thank you very much, Alex, Otto, and Wei Hong, for giving us a brief summary of just some of the activities happening within MinEx CRC. And we're certainly very interested to see how the impacts of some of this research is going to, how that will impact on exploration in South Australia in the future. Thank you very much for your time.